right, so I'm Carly. I'm an alcoholic. Um, so I just wanted to begin with childhood because I feel like a lot of times it goes back to maybe looking at childhood for me at least, and I'm like, oh, that's where I got that behavior, and that's where some of that fear's from. But I mean, my childhood was pretty normal. I feel like compared to most, my, I mean, I was anxious and shy and didn't have much confidence. And I grew up in the Bible Belt of South Carolina, so upstate South Carolina, Anderson near Greenville. And my mom was always super social. She would have all these dinner parties and everything like that. And there's always alcohol around. But I was pretty like squeaky clean kid through high school and even some of college. But I was friends with I just collectively call them the Baptists. They're just my Baptist friends. Like my closest friend was a Baptist preacher's kid from fifth grade on, and so we just had a lot of good, clean fun. And I um growing up though, I kind of felt like I had to hide part of myself because I'm gay, and I didn't really know how well that would go over with them. So I kind of got used to not really being my full self, I guess. Just from an early age, I guess. Also, my dad is an alcoholic. I didn't really notice that until later. It's just I was kind of all wrapped up in my stuff when I was a kid. I never really thought, oh, what's going on with my parents? Because I mean, at that age, I didn't really care. Honestly, I was just doing my own thing. Um, but I also realized, like looking back, how there wasn't a whole lot of affection between them, and definitely not much communication. My family isn't really the type to like talk about real stuff. It's more just kind of keep everything surfacey, I guess. And don't get me wrong, I love my mom, my sister. We have so much fun, but I never really like the situation with my dad. I didn't even really realize that there was an issue, um, and until later on. But so going to my drinking history, like I said, I really didn't do that much in high school. I played soccer. I was on the National Honor Society, all that kind of stuff, and there was some self harming in high school that happened like around the time my parents got divorced. I just felt a lot of stress and everything. I don't know. I was closer to my dad than my sister was, and I knew there was something wrong, and they had been separated for a bit, but just he got a job somewhere else. I didn't realize that anything was actually wrong until my mom said they were getting a divorce. So I don't know, it just kind of stressed me out, and I internalized a lot of it. But there was also like a lot of, I guess, I didn't like myself much, even I guess in high school. And like I said, I also just had a lot of anxiety in general, and I don't know, self harming. Kind of, I guess, for lack of better words, helped me out a little bit in those times to relieve some stress in a very unhealthy way. Um, I did drink a little bit in high school, but it was really just a couple times, like once with my sister and her friends in college. Another time, I think I don't know, I just stole some from my mom's collection that was just out. Like she didn't feel the need to hide it because I never really did anything bad in high school. Um, so let's see, skipping ahead to college. Um, I I really was very studious in college too, and my first girlfriend, that's all she did was study. So I kind of adapted those habits of, oh, I'm just gonna study all the time. I did party some, but really my addiction didn't get kickstarted till later. Um, because I was just kind of do whatever she would do. And then when we broke up is really when I started drinking a lot. It kind of became an everyday thing pretty quickly. And then I studied abroad my last semester, and I was in a situation that I wasn't really comfortable with. I was kind of awkward socially. I was trying, but it was really hard. And then I also had a girlfriend back home that was kind of making me feel bad for, I guess, leaving and doing this experience. But I don't know. I just ended up completely wasting this could have been a really cool experience, and drank every day just to kind of cope with it, the uncomfortable feelings and everything. And I mean, I had been drinking a lot before that too. So really, I was kind of drinking to maintain, and then drinking just on top of that, just because I just didn't really want to be there. I felt uncomfortable. I wasn't really putting myself out there. Um, Sorry if you hear that ice cream truck coming. um, let's see. So after college, I did make it out with a pretty good GPA, luckily, because I really didn't start drinking heavily until like sophomore year of college, I think. And I actually remember my roommate saying, it's not normal to drink alone in your room, right? And I was like, whatever, I'm in college. It's not a problem if I'm in college. I'll deal with this later, nip it in the bud later. Not right now though. And so after college, I tried to take more classes. I was really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I took classes like accounting classes, and I lived with my mom for a semester before moving out. And so I couldn't really get away with drinking as much as I wanted to when I was living with her. And so I moved out. I moved in with my girlfriend at the time. So yeah, after college, I took more classes, and I was living with my mom. So obviously not getting away with drinking all the time. I mean, she was married to an alcoholic. So I think that would have been kind of hard to get away with. Then I lived with my girlfriend at the time. And I was going to classes, but since I was able to drink freely, however much I wanted, my grades started dropping. And I did not get into the master's program that I wanted to get into. And so at that point in time, I was going to school. Going to work at a movie theater, which I hated. I hated the job, but I got away with drinking because I was just back there ushering, and so I could, drink whenever I went to go take the trash, in quotation marks. I mean, sometimes I'd actually take it, but I would be able to sneak out the side door and just grab alcohol and I'd keep alcohol in my car and take some shots before coming back in, and it was really easy to get away with. And then the other job I did at the theater was in the count room, so like dealing with money. But either way, I was like not having to deal with customers, and I kind of just go do my own thing. So it was great for the time being for me because it was an easy job that I get away drinking on. And sorry, the walls of my apartment are thin, so it's just my roommates up there. Let's see. And then after a breakup, like from a relationship that needed to end already, like a while back, I was starting to drink even more heavily around the clock. Like I was already drinking most days, like all the time. But then at this point, it was just even heavier, like hardly getting any sleep. I dabbled in drugs at this time. For me, drugs is not a big part of my story. Alcohol was like my main love and my best friend, and I didn't ever really feel the need to do drugs because alcohol is just like put me where I wanted to feel. Although I did dabble in some Molly, just kind of like ecstasy, and just risky behavior sexually as well, just doing a lot of things that could have not ended well for me. And during this time I lost weight rapidly. Like I had gained a little relationship weight, but then after the breakup, I just like stopped eating. I was mainly just drinking. And I remember one time I felt so just weak that I couldn't get off the floor because I just hadn't really eaten in like probably like a couple of days, or I don't know, like eating very little. And I just couldn't, like I didn't have hardly the energy to get off the floor. And it was scary. Not scary enough for me to stop, but it was scary. So that's one moment that I still remember as being like, I probably should have taken a hint at that time. I did stop drinking for a year when I met this one girl, because I made this joke that our first date was to the hospital because this is the time I was still doing some drugs, and I got this Molly that actually ended up being meth, I think, or something. And I was freaking out because I thought my heart was going to explode. So she went with me to the hospital, and in my head, I was like, oh man, like I should probably stop if she's going to stick around. So I wasn't doing it for myself. I was doing it for her. So it did not stick. Um, but I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so not doing it for myself at that time, but I was stopping. Um, and it was, yeah, only for about a year. I wasn't working any program. I felt my feelings for the first time in a while, and that was awful. I mean, I was feeling yeah, honestly, yeah, I don't really remember feeling feelings for a long time there. And then yeah, take away the alcohol and all my depression and anxiety came back, and my emotions were not stable at all. I was basically just had her, and then I was working this shitty job, and then drinking and or just being depressed all the time. And I did start to get together a little bit. She kind of inspired me to go back to school. um I had been out of school for a while, just working, and then try to get into another master's program. Maybe I was like, at this point, my life was just kind of like I was just stuck. I was stagnant, and so I got on some medication too that did help my anxiety for a little bit, but then I began drinking again. So she was in college at this time. She really wanted to have that college experience, and I was thinking, well, you know what? I haven't drunk for a year. I'm probably good. Like if I can stop for a year, I probably don't have a problem. And that was 100% wrong. As soon as I started drinking again, it just went downhill from there. Um, it just pretty much, it's, I don't know if y'all have heard the like whole the metaphor about your disease is just waiting for you doing push-ups. And yeah, it just picked up right where it left off. I had to move in with my mom again. Just I thought it was a good move, like since I wasn't drinking, or I moved back in with her before I started drinking again. I just thought it was a good move to like save money if I was trying to go back to school. But when I started drinking again, she found out that maybe I have an issue with it, and so she got a breathalyzer. And so that was the end of me living there, because I was like, if I'm gonna do my thing, I'm not gonna have her keeping tabs on me. So I left and moved in with a friend, and I was just kind of a hot mess there for a while. I was working as a server at this time, and things were definitely tricky with my girlfriend because she was wanting me to stop, and I just couldn't, you know. And eventually, she did break up with me. I'd also stopped going to class, and I was suspended from work another time. And this time they were like, you know, if you can't get it together, we can't keep you hired on here. So at this point, I was living with my mom again, which is fine. I appreciate her taking me in, but I was 27, and it just really wasn't where I wanted to be, living with her again, about to get fired from my job, not going to class to try to make any kind of moves in like a career type direction or anything like that. At this time, it wasn't even fun anymore. I was just passing out all the time, drinking, isolating, just all around not where I wanted to be in life. So I asked for help. The willingness was not really there for me though at first. I honestly I was supposed to be watching her dog. I call him my little brother. So I was supposed to be watching her dog while she was away, when I was going to meet her for dinner. I did not meet her for dinner because I was passed out. So I knew she was going to be furious. So I was like, I think I need help. And so, you know, luckily when she dropped me off at the rehab, even though I was like trying to manipulate her into not leaving me there, she did leave me there. And I'm very thankful for that. Because I did find the willingness. It wasn't necessarily, I mean, it might have been, it was a little ways, probably like more towards the end of rehab is really when I found more of the willingness, although I wasn't really doing what I was supposed to do 100% at the beginning. Although I don't think, I mean, it's hard to do it perfect the first time around. But so I went to rehab. They gave me 3 suggestions that I needed to work on. They said I need to be able to be alone, I need to be able to be vulnerable, and I need to be able to take suggestions. After high school, there was just a lot of drinking, a lot of relationships, and in between relationships, there was just a lot of just extra debauchery, just tons of drinking and dabbling in drugs. And then ultimately, after the last breakup, it was just, I was miserable. I was drinking all the time. I was about to get fired. I was not going to class. I was living with my mom. There's just, for me, it was a high bottom, but for me, that was just kind of took me to wanting to go to rehab and get help. And I'm really glad that my mom didn't take me back when I said, please don't leave me here, because Pavillon was the best thing that happened to me. And I'm not just saying that because this is a meeting that Pavillon had me come speak at. It really, the alumni portion, like the alumni part of Pavillon, is so great. I've stayed at the alumni house before, and it's always awesome when they ask me to speak or participate in something like this. And so they gave me the toolkit I needed pretty much. And now let's see, my clean date was initially February 9th, 2018. And I've not had a drink since then. However, I did do some cannabis in that period of time. After I got, after after the breakup, that was around the COVID time. I was having a really tough time. And then, I mean, in my head, I didn't really consider weed a drug, but I think I was honestly just fooling myself, and I was definitely not emotionally sober at this time. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it altered my mind. So I changed my sobriety date when I got out here to San Diego. My work let me come out here. I just wanted to go have an adventure and see some national parks. And that's actually been an amazing experience. Because nature, I like I said, I kind of struggle with the spiritual connection thing, but nature, I feel like very spiritually connected when I'm out in nature. Just kind of seeing all these beautiful things. It's kind of hard to find something wrong with, the world and with where I am in it. So right when I got out to San Diego, I got a commitment at a meeting, which was huge for me because I knew otherwise I would not stick to it. I would not stick to the program. I was here in a new place, and I didn't really. It could have gone a bad direction, honestly, if I had not committed to a meeting and stayed on my program, because I'd kind of gone dormant on my program during COVID, or during the initial months of COVID. So with my new sponsors, they kind of urged me to change my date. So my new date is September 1st, 2021. So I've got about almost 8 months, I think is what that is. And I don't know. I've never felt so connected to the program, and I've done things a lot differently this time. Because I will say, I feel like I was just going through the motions at first, honestly. And I mean, I try not to beat myself up about that though, because it's progress, not perfection. That's one of the main phrases that we have. And for me, it just took a while to be able to take suggestions, be able to be vulnerable, and to be able to be alone and be comfortable with myself. So when I got out here, I definitely got more in the middle of AA, and I stayed there. I'm forming a community here that I've never had really before. I've never allowed myself to have before. And things that help me are I just try to keep it as simple as possible. I'm definitely my own worst critic. So I tried to combat the negative self-talk by just trying to stay in the moment, not worrying about stuff in the future, and not beating myself up for things in the past. And that just helps me keep it simple and stay in the moment. I definitely also utilize gratitude lists a lot. If something is not going my way, I just think of everything else that is going my way, and it's a lot. I go to meetings. I go to probably about 4 meetings a week still, and I meet with my sponsors every week. I have 2 sponsors just because they're an older married couple, so it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal. I also, like I said, I've been able to connect more with the fellowship. I've actually been trying to push myself out of my comfort zone a little bit and not isolate, and make connections, because it's not that scary once I actually do it. And it's kind of like when you meet one person, then it's like they know this other person, and before you know it, like they say in the big book, a fellowship will grow up about you, and it has here. And I just try to take it easy on myself too. And physical activity is huge for me. Endorphins are really helpful. So like if I'm stressing about something, I just make myself get outside or go to the gym or something. Um, Also self-care, which for me that looks like I even though I worked at the movie theater for a long time, I like to go to the movies. It's just how I treat myself, or stay in and DoorDash something simple like that. Um, but it's great these days. Like how my life is now is so different. I show up for people I care about. Like I'm able to connect. I got the relationship back with my mom and my sister. Like there was never a bad situation with my sister, but I'm just able to be more involved in her life and my mom's life. And friends, like I actually have friends now. It's a trip because friendship was always really hard for me, but now I can just be my authentic self and show up for people. I'm able to travel, which is great. I never used to physically be able to travel because I was always passing out. And then also I didn't have the money to, because I couldn't keep it together enough to really do anything um to get gainfully employed. I'm very thankful for my job. And I wake up feeling happy most days, or at least not miserable, because everybody's gonna have bad days, and I'm not an exception from that. But these days it's like, okay, well, that'll pass, and it's okay to feel my feelings, and I can go to a meeting, and honestly, whenever I go to a meeting, that's what helps me get out of my head the best. I know how to handle situations that used to baffle me, literally. If something comes my way, if a curveball comes my way, there are tools I have that I can use um to just help me out, in the time of suffering. And then I'm also just hopeful about life at the end of the day. And I never used to be. I always was so baffled about how people can just be happy and do life without substances. And now I'm one of those people who can be happy most of the time. Or honestly, joy is I think a better word. Joy, and like grateful. Um, and so now I'm one of those people who I'm hopeful about life, and it's awesome. And I definitely wouldn't go back to the way it was. So that's all I got. I don't know, wasn't really keeping time. I might have gone over, but if anybody has questions or anything.